Hello, everybody. Welcome to the On Second Thought Sports Show on the Mental Conditioning Podcast. How is everybody doing? Mental Conditioning Sports Podcast. How is everybody doing? A lot going on. I'm so excited. I just want to get into the meat of the order, the meat of all the sports that's going on. We're probably not going to even be able to get to everything, but we are doing a special. If you see us looking over at the, we have a TV over here, so we are live coming from Game 1 tonight of the New York Knickerbockers in the Eastern Conference Finals against the Indiana Pacers. So we kind of just switching it up. As you can see, we're not in the mental conditioning gym. We're at a second location, and so we're going to kind of, probably get off the air before the game actually starts. But we wanted to kind of go on and just kind of get a wrap up, get into what's going on. As we go into the weekend, we'll do another show with some more results. But it's a lot going on. There's even a lot going on in boxing. Probably won't get to that. We might touch on that just a little bit, but let's get to work. I'm Elliot Allen.
Isaiah Allen.
Aaron Allen.
So let's go. I mean, a lot happened obviously in the last week. As I just said, we're sitting here in anticipation and excitement of our New York Knickerbockers, getting the job done.
Probably can't see that.
And actually,
got the shorts on.
There you go. Actually getting into the Eastern Conference Final the first time, I think, in 25, 26 years. I'm old enough to remember that. But it's an exciting time. New York is on fire. I mean, they are just doing crazy stuff here. They're in the streets. They're doing their thing. Everybody here is very, very, very excited. But let's kind of back up just for 1 minute and then fast forward. Let's finish up with, I don't think we did that, but let's kind of finish up with the New York Knickerbockers and the Boston Celtics series. The Knicks finished that off in a blowout in Game 6.
Yes.
It did take them 6 games to do it. They went back to Boston. They dropped the game, and then they went to. They came back here and just totally eradicated the Boston Celtics. Obviously, they didn't have Jason Tatum, but guys, talk a little bit about that series just as a wrap up of what we saw.
First and foremost, I don't want to hear anybody say that the Knicks run to the Eastern Conference Finals and a good chance to the Finals is a fluke because Jason Tatum went injured. We beat them 3 times without Tatum. I know he got injured in that third game, but it was like 2 minutes left and we were up 10 and he had 42 points. So he played. They still lost and we beat them the other 2. So I want to hear that. Speedy recovery to Tatum though.
Yes, definitely.
But I'm definitely impressed with the Knicks. Definitely going into this playoff series after the season we've had, 0 and like 10 or 11 against the top NBA teams. I'm like, yeah, we about to.
Great point.
We about to get smacked, but the Knicks proved me wrong. Jalen Brunson proved me wrong. Cat proved me wrong. Everybody played really well for the team. I think the MVP of that series, unfortunately, has to go to, which I might get clowned up, but it might have to go to Mikal Bridges in the fourth quarter because whenever we're down 20, him in the fourth quarter is just.
Yeah.
I mean, he'd just be unlocking Brooklyn Nets version of him. But the first 3 quarters, he'd be absent. But the fourth quarter is when we win, so I can't be too mad. But
Game 6, he did it though. He started out pretty hot.
Game 6, he did, but I think he was in foul trouble that game. But in the Pacers series, bro, all 4 quarters, Mikal, please, because they took down the Cleveland Cavaliers. Yeah. So they got all the confidence in the world coming into this series. So. Let's not give them any more confidence because they're already a dangerous team.
Definitely. Aaron, your wrap up on the Celtics series?
I feel like the Knicks, we played poorly as a team, honestly, besides Game 6. Down 20 every single game, felt like we were never really distinguished a lead. Much like the Pistons series, we never really established that. Obviously we're not the better team, but I mean, we established that it's not even close. That we honestly. We ran away with that one. We were honestly pretty lucky to come out with that one. And not to take anything away from the Knicks, still. That's two 20-point comebacks, which is very hard to do, especially in the NBA. But I feel like we need to play a little bit better against this team here because, I mean, the Pacers are just full of a bunch of shooters. Again, we got the Celtics who are a bunch of shooters, but I feel like the Pacers, they run deeper than Boston with their shooters. And, we can get killed, and we could go down 20. This is the team we could go down 22, and I don't know if we can get that lead back coming after their performance in Cleveland. But overall, it was a decent performance in the Boston Celtics. I just feel like we need to play a lot better this year.
So listen, I agree with a lot of what Aaron is saying, and it is a very good point. And it's good and it's bad because guess what? Maybe we haven't seen the best of the Knicks. Maybe the Knicks have not actually got into rhythm. I kept looking for that game for them in the Celtics series. I guess we kind of got it in that sixth game, but then to make the excuse. Yeah, so I'm gonna say to make the excuse for the Boston Celtics. We're going to talk about that right now too. Obviously they was not operating at full capacity, so I'm not going to necessarily say that. I give Knicks the credit to say that they played this outstanding game. But let's finish up with that and talk a little bit about the Boston Celtics and what do we think about them, in their future. I guess there seems to be unbelievably quite a bit of uncertainty over there. I think the one thing that is certain, and then it's not certain because we don't know what's going to happen with injuries, but Tatum I don't think is on the chopping block, but it seems to me that everybody else is we're not sure. I mean, even down to Brown, they're saying that he might get traded and Joe might get fired, and so a lot of.
Who said that?
I mean, I've heard rumblings about that. You know how it is. I don't think that's going to happen. But what are you guys thinking about the Boston Celtics going into next year? Is their reign? Because let's be honest, Boston's been out there for quite some time and been very successful. The last 3 or 4 seasons, they actually got it done last year and won a championship. Do we think that this particular team's run is over? And if it's not over, do we think that, obviously provided once Jason comes back, do we think that they can actually make a run? Again, you have a team like the Knicks who are gaining confidence. Indiana Pacers clearly are gaining confidence in what they can do. Cleveland, we don't know what the heck is going on with them. But what about the Celtics? Do you guys think that this is something that is over for them? Aaron?
I just feel like I don't want to see Boston succeed at all, but I feel like their key to success is to just trade Jaylen Brown at that point.
Wow.
I mean, the guy is taking up way too much money, and he clearly proved that when Tatum went down in this series. I mean, the first game, though, when Tatum went down, when they were in Boston, he did play well, but he did not carry that into the Garden as well as he could have. So I feel like if they can just pick up, maybe if they can get another superstar out of Jaylen Brown, that would be good. Mm-hmm. But if they can pick up, just a lot more assets towards their starting lineup and their bench as well, I feel like that would be very helpful for Boston. But I just don't think that Jaylen Brown is worth all that money. I think he's a one-hit wonder with that Finals MVP run there.
I saw something the other day that I thought was interesting, and this would be a typical Boston Celtics move. And Isaiah, you could cover this one. Do you think that if the opportunity presented itself for them to trade Jaylen Brown to well, you know what I'm saying?
Phoenix?
No.
Pelicans?
Bucks?
No. Trade him to who's the number 1 pick is Philadelphia.
Oh wait, no,
Dallas.
To Dallas, and the Boston Celtics go ahead and get the Golden Boy coming out of Duke.
That'd be a stupid move.
On whose part?
On Dallas's part. If I'm Dallas, I'm drafting no matter what anybody tells me, bro. I'm drafting. Philly, on the other hand, you got a good case for them. Philly might throw a trade at Jaylen Brown, and they might be able to draft one of the young guns like a Dylan Harper. But to build on what he was saying, I think Jaylen Brown also does need to be traded.
Wow.
I don't think they will do it because Tatum's injured. There's a good chance that he might, miss all of the next season or even just a little bit of next season.
Great part of it.
But so they're really gonna need, somebody to be with them. And I don't know if trading Jaylen Brown will be the answer for them, but they gave the dude $300 million, so I don't know if I really see them trading him. But at the same time, it all just goes back to greed. There's not a lot of people in the league like Jalen Brunson who will take $100 million pay cut just to to better the team. Jaylen Brown's making $300 million. Drew Holiday is making, I'm sure he's making mad money. Derek White, when his contract's up, is going to ask for mad money. Mm-hmm. KP's contract ends after next season. He's going to ask for mad money too. And they have 2 players on their team with max contracts. Mm-hmm. I mean, there's not really much more they can afford. So I think, and a lot of people say, but I also think this might be one of the last seasons that we see that starting 5 enter, the NBA season.
Yeah, I agree with that. I heard that again during the week, even if, they were saying even if the Celtics went all the way, that because of what Isaiah is saying, great point, the payroll is just out of control, that they just would not have been able to afford to bring that team back, so they didn't even win. And, so I definitely think I would agree that the Boston Celtics, as we know it, that team is probably going to be done because some of them guys are going to demand big contracts. So let's move into the meat of the order, what we got on the table right now, and that's the New York Knicks against the Indiana Pacers. Aaron kind of opened it up a little bit. Let's get into that and talk about what we think is going to happen in about 45 minutes or so. Tonight, game 1 in Madison Square Garden. This is where I always say that it is important to have a good season. And the Knicks, I think, pushed the limits to about as well as they could. And this way it pays big dividends that they're here and they have their home court advantage. So game 1 is here and they're going to have a game 7. If they have a game 7, we have it here in New York. So this is where I think this is what you play for. And you do get those wins during the course of the season. The Knicks have just been a team that's just been like Rocky, if you would, to me this year. And that they've just been battling and pushing. And they're here. So this particular matchup for me, I'm always have to say, have a little bit of concern and worried about the Knicks. Let me just say, first and foremost, have the talent to beat the Indiana Pacers. There's no question about it. There's tremendous history here between these two teams in the playoffs. They just said, and I didn't really realize that, but the Knicks lost the last 3 playoff battles to the Indiana Pacers, which is devastating.
2. We're not counting that last one.
So, I mean, it is what it
3
is.
what, series or last
series.
game? Oh,
Series. Are you saying because the Knicks was hurt and injured last year?
They would never.
I mean, it is what it is.
Never have been, and we still took them to 7 games.
It is what it is with that, but I will say this, and we'll get into this. I'm sure there's going to start a little bit of heated debate. My thing with the Indiana Pacers, like I said, I think that the Knicks definitely have more talent. The Knicks, honestly, as I look at all of the teams, the Knicks are right there with all 4 teams left. That talent-wise, they're right there. They have as good a starting 5 as any of the teams that are left. But the thing about Indiana that makes them dangerous, Indiana's probably got the least amount of talent of all the teams that are left. But they're hot. They're playing with a great rhythm. And once again, and I think that I'm proving my point that I've been talking about the past month and a half here on the Second Thought Sports Show, experience does matter. And I think that's what you're seeing right here is that, Indiana Pacers also are a team that have had good playoff experience. They're a young team, but just 1 year of really getting further than you thought, that really teaches these guys the mindset of what to do. Minnesota took a loss last night, but I think Minnesota is where they are because of their playoff experience. They've really gotten in some great playoff basketball the last 2 years. That's what's making them and driving them. The kid Halliburton, as we just was coming on the air, he was coming into the arena. They put his stats up. He's averaging 17 points a game in the playoffs. I don't think he had much better season. But I think he's just a very dangerous player in a 7-game playoff series. He reminds me a lot, again, of Reggie Miller, where he's one of the type of guys that, as Reggie's on the screen right now, he reminds me of one of the type of guys that, he can have 3 bad quarters. But like Reggie, in the last 6 minutes of a playoff game, if the game is close, that was Reggie's thing. Even though Reggie was, she didn't mention in the same sentence, Reggie was an all-time great shooter. But that was Reggie's thing in the playoffs. Keep this thing close. If it's down to 3 or 4 minutes, we're going to win the game. Because the guy would just go unconscious and do, hit big shots. And I've seen Halliburton do that, I think, throughout these playoffs so far. I thought he did it last year against us. As you said, it was a tough series. It wasn't like the Indiana Pacers blew us out. But he hit big shots. And he made big plays. And so that's my concern going into this particular series is, can he do that again? He has that aura about him that he knows that's what he has to do. He knows that, keep this game close. I'm going to hit big shots. That's how they beat Cleveland. They did the same thing in the Cleveland series. Those games were close going down the stretch. He hit a few big shots, demoralized them, and won it. So I'm picking the Knicks to win the series. I think that we have more talent than they do. But I think it's, you have to be careful and not let Indiana Pacers sneak out some victories that, is going to hurt us. I'm not saying anything is a must-win game. A lot of people like to say game 1's a must-wins. I'm not going to say that. This series has just been going back and forth of all playoff series. So, but I definitely feel like, the Knicks, to have a more comfortable series, they need to make sure that they win these first 2 games. It's not a must, but I feel like for them to not give Indiana confidence that, okay, we can go in there and sneak it out, because Indiana did that in the previous series. Your thoughts on this upcoming series?
I think the Knicks are going to take it in 5 games. I don't think the Pacers have enough defensive material to guard anybody on our team. They definitely don't got nobody that can stop Jalen Brunson. Had a little debate about whether Miles Turner can hold Cat or not, but I'm still going to say Cat would dog Miles Turner. And then, we got great defense too in OG and McCall and Josh Hart. So it all comes down to Tibbs this series as well, because Tibbs' defense on the perimeter for some reason is just god awful. He always runs some sort of defensive scheme where there's always one or two people open on the wing, and I really don't understand why he keeps doing that, because this is a 3-point shooting league. And this is not the team that we want to do it with. We did it with Boston, and we went down 20 half the game. So, like Aaron said, let's not do that this series. As far as Tyrese Halliburton, as he's on the screen right now, he's not that guy. He's not that guy. Don't get me wrong. His Milwaukee and Cleveland series where they came back and won the game in like the little last minutes, that was impressive. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't even lie. He was playing really well. He was shooting the ball really well. Mm-hmm. He's not gonna get that over here at all. I stuff OG on him and he's gonna be shut down the entire game. 17 points per game, about to drop down to 13.
20 on the road though. They just showed that 20. Stat. He's averaging 20 on the road. Again, he's a villain type of a player that he plays big on the road. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, they don't got enough to beat us. I got it in 5 games. Let's go Knicks.
I think you're gassing it with Tyrese Halliburton a little bit. I think it's just comments like that. It's just like the reason why he's like people say he's overrated, because like he's a good player, but I mean we're talking about Tyrese Halliburton and Reggie Miller in the same sentence. That's absurd. You're gonna get yourself cooked here, because I don't know why you would publicly say something like that.
Yeah. I don't know why you publicly say something. He keeps saying we're gonna get cooked, but I have not been cooked yet.
And I just feel like Tyrese Halliburton, like you said, and with the name on the board kind of analogy, you put Tyrese Halliburton's name on the board, which is your superstar for your team, he's going to get shut down, especially by the New York Knicks. I feel like we have OG, McHale on the help. But I feel like we have good paint defense for sure, and if we could just get our stuff together on the perimeter as well, Tyrese Halliburton won't be getting anything really. And 100%. As far as their defense goes, it's clearly not good. This guy Donovan Mitchell was averaging 50 on them practically, so. And Jalen Brunson's a little better.
I will give the Pacers their props though, because they play really phenomenal team basketball. Out of all 4 teams that are left in the postseason, I think team basketball wise, the Pacers play it the best. Everybody gets to share. Everybody gets the ball. I do love that. The Knicks, obviously, we don't have that at all. We just give the ball to Jalen Brunson and get the hell out of the way. Mm-hmm. But either way, I still don't think it's enough, but I will give the Pacers their props. They're a tough team. If we sleep, they're definitely going to kill us, but I think we'll be okay.
Aaron, did you say how many games? Do you think it's also 5 games?
I say 5.
I mean, it may go 6.
And 1.
Depends.
Yeah, I think at least 6 games. I wouldn't be surprised if this goes to 7 games. I just think that, again, I've been accused and berated that, I'm going to get cooked, and I haven't got cooked yet on anything that I've said. You go back and watch every sports show that we've done on the Second Thoughts sports show. There's nothing that I said yet that, and I'm very proud of that. And the next week's show, we're going to have...
Nothing you say yet that I'm wrong?
No, I don't
think
so.
Your top 4 contenders again?
All right, that's what I'm saying. my contend, but no one got that one right.
No one got that.
No one got that right.
And then Mr. Mark got that.
And then those are loose. I mean, those are loose things that you can't necessarily say that. But I don't think that I've been cooked on any of my, and I won't say predictions, but just the flow of how things went. We can't predict exactly who's going to get to these spots. But as far as me, talking about, who's going to be productive in series, who's going to really get shut down in series, I think I've been spot on. We're going to have Anthony and Mark will be back in the studio hopefully this weekend, and we're going to give out awards about who got cooked and who was on point. So we'll get to that.
So who's getting shut down this series?
For which team?
Both. If there's any.
I don't think, I agree with you guys. I don't think, I'm not sure. I have to see the first game. I don't think that, the Indiana Pacers, obviously there's no one that can stop Jalen Brunson. The Celtics have, some really good defenders on that team, and they couldn't do anything. I won't say they couldn't do anything with him, but they couldn't stop him. So Jalen Brunson is going to get his. I thought your point was very, very poignant where you said, and that I thought you were going to go there. You kind of stopped with it, but when you said it comes down to tips, and I thought that was an issue even in the last series that we're not using Karl Anthony Towns enough. When there's no answer for a guy like that, you must pound the ball, mercifully down their throat. And so I definitely look for the Knicks to do that. I hope the Knicks do that. They have not done that, I think, to the levels that they should have. So hopefully they'll do that. I'd like to see maybe even, some more of the bench guys getting involved. You want to see Campaign do a little bit better, I think, this series. Just to give some relief a little bit, just to kind of change up the dynamics. I think Deuce has been playing very well throughout the playoffs, so we want to continue to see him do that. His shooting was good. He's actually impressive in that he's a young kid, but he seems to be, in the moment and not afraid. So I love that. As far as the Pacers, I'm going to go out on a limb and say I don't see what you guys see, and that Halliburton is going to be shut down. I just don't. I just think he's a playoff guy. He understands the flow of the game in the playoffs, and I think he's going to be a problem and a terror to deal with in this series. But for that matter, do you guys think that Halliburton is an all-star? Legit? Or no?
Based off this season alone, no.
Aaron? He's not an all-star.
Based off the season alone, but that one breakout season he had, he definitely was an all-star. So the kid definitely has all-star potential. Mm-hmm. But this season was kind of a step back, in my opinion.
Okay. So, interesting stuff with that series. I think, like I said, this is going to be interesting going down the stretch. Do you think that the Knicks win both games here in New York?
I think we win both games in New York, and we'll take one in Indiana.
Not the first, not game 3, though. If
That's
they win
tough.
game
It's
3,
tough.
it's
It's
over.
tough. You think
If
the sweep?
Yeah. If the Knicks was to win the first 2 games here and then turn around and go right back to Indiana.
I think we'll win game 4. I think all the hype that'll follow behind Indiana when they get back to their crib, I think it'll overload the Knicks, and the Knicks are always due for one just sour game. So I think it'll be game 3. And we'll take game 4, come back to New York, and seal it at game 5. Mm-hmm. Jalen Brunson, Eastern Conference Finals MVP, and we're going to go to the finals to go up against. We'll see.
So let's get into that. Let's switch over gears a little bit and talk about the West Coast, and let's do the same thing. Let's wrap up the previous series where you had OKC and the Denver Nuggets.
Right.
Again, it went 7 games. I guess I don't know. I mean, that was one of those series that it could have went either way. A lot of people were thinking that Denver was just going to get washed. Again, for me, I wasn't necessarily. I didn't know, to be honest with you. I just do know that, again, playoff experience, championship experience is enough to. We'll have some stuff I want to talk about with this. Is enough to, propel them to the Game 7. And in Game 7, going into Game 7, I was kind of like, I'm not sure, you know what I mean? But this was very good stuff for Oklahoma City because this is what they needed to really get past this. I think it was Game 5. They really had an epic battle going back and forth, and I thought that that was huge because Oklahoma City actually pulled that game out, which I thought was very, very impressive. I didn't think that they would. I thought they would take control of the series, but then Denver came back and won and forced a Game 7. But enough respect and credit to the Denver Nuggets. What are we thinking about that series, and also what are we thinking about Denver Nuggets going forward for them?
It was a great series, obviously. Felt like both teams played very, very, very well. Obviously, Denver, champion. Well, can't say championship material, but they have the same. They basically have the same roster as when they won the championship. So technically, they are championship material. OKC, in my eyes, are championship material for this year as well. So I mean, I didn't expect it to go 7, but I wasn't shocked that it went 7 either. Mm-hmm. For Denver, I feel like they need to start making some changes around there. Yeah, definitely. Besides firing their coach, I don't know why. I honestly forgot. Yeah, they did good without their championship coach, but I feel like they need some changes within the roster.
Yes.
I felt like Aaron Gordon played really well.
Yes. We get
throughout the whole playoffs, honestly. Yeah. And it's a shame he got injured, but I feel like Jokic, you can't rely on a fat Slovenian. He's still blocking. Is he still blocking?
You got it right.
Yeah. You can't. You can't depend on him to do it every single game. Game was it? I think he didn't play good game 7.
I don't think he played.
He didn't have a great
as
game.
well as he's been playing.
Have a great game,
right?
So that's when the other guys need to step up, and
he can't do it by himself.
No,
he can't do it by himself. Even Murray, I think, hasn't been the same quite frankly since the championship.
Since the bubble.
He's been okay.
Yeah, he's just been okay.
I definitely agree with Aaron 100% on literally everything he said. I think it's time to start doing some trades. Aaron Gordon played good. Obviously, Jokic runner-up, MVP. Michael P. Jordan and Jamal Murray with
who? Michael Porter Jr.
What'd I say?
He said Michael P. Jordan.
Like what?
Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray would both be on my trading block this season. As much as Denver fans probably don't want to hear it, Jamal Murray might have to get traded this summer because
really,
I honestly think so. Nuggets had a poor season in my opinion.
Yes.
I think they didn't play as well as everybody expected.
Yes.
Even though they went to the Western Conference Finals, it just wasn't too hopeful. They didn't look too hopeful for the future.
Yes.
They were doing pretty good in that Game 7. They were leading OKC. I thought OKC was really just showing how young they were, and Denver was showing their playoff and championship experience.
Yes.
But the minute Jokic hit the bench,
yes, I agree.
OKC's up 20, and the game was pretty much sealed at that point. So
I
Jokic needs some help. I don't know what it's got to be. MPJ is definitely got to get traded. Every time I watch him play, he just doesn't. Like, the dude doesn't pass the ball. Jokic gives him a handoff. There's could be 3 people sitting right in front of his face. He's still shooting the ball. And if it doesn't go in, then no good. So he's definitely going to get traded. I think they'll keep Aaron Gordon. I don't know what's going on with Russell Westbrook. They asked him if he's going to stay. He didn't really give a good answer about it. Jamal Murray, in my opinion, is traded too. And maybe they do keep the same coach that they have right now.
No, I think he should. I think he did a hell of a job. I mean, when it was a bizarre situation that Malone got fired. That was very strange. I never seen anything like that in my life before in any sport. To where this is a playoff team. This guy won the championship, and you're right. They were a week out or 2 weeks out from the playoffs, and you fired a coach. I've never seen that before. But I don't. His name slips me. But the Denver coach that took over as an intern coach, he did an unbelievable job. He really did. I think even finishing up the season, I think he only lost maybe 1 or 2 games since he took over. And for them to get as far as they did in the playoffs was something that was just, hey, I give him a lot of credit. He certainly deserves that job. The kid Murray, I don't know. You guys are being kind of hard. I think he's an integral part of it.
You keep him?
I keep him. You know what I mean? He was, an integral part of them winning the championship. I think with Murray, he got some severe injuries there, and I think he kind of never was the same. Yeah, he never really was the same in my opinion. But one of the things that has come up that I wanted to kind of talk to you guys about, I think is very interesting, and I got into it pretty good on social media about this one. And you guys mentioned Aaron Gordon, who I think Aaron said, he had a heck of his playoffs, and he really played well. And unfortunately, he went down. That's why we've been saying, the hamstring injuries have been the flavor of this playoffs. And I was telling the boys, one thing about hamstring injuries, I remember in the late 90s when the Los Angeles Lakers were playing the Detroit Pistons, and that was probably their last run at really serious chance to win a championship. I think they were champions at the time. And Magic Johnson went down with a hamstring injury. I'll never forget. I think it was either game 1 or 2. And he got hurt. The minute he got hurt, his reaction was on the floor. He knew he was done for the series. I'll never forget that. If you look it up, it'll show the disappointment on his face. That's when I knew hamstring injuries are serious, because he knew he was finished, and he didn't come back, and the Lakers lost that series. And Isaiah Thomas, guys' first championship. But Aaron Gordon brought up a good point. Well, a point. I'm not going to say it was a good point because I disagree with it. And he talked about, in a press conference after the game, obviously he's distraught about losing. Again, he played a heck of the series. Give the guy credit. But he talked about the scheduling of the NBA. Mm-hmm. And he complained about, or he asked I'm not trying to throw him underneath the bus. It's a legitimate point that he's making, but I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about it. Saying that he feels that the league should, give the guys more time off between games in the playoffs. And I mean, the pattern is, I don't know why I got into this dispute on social media, because the pattern has been that way for as long as I've been watching basketball. I've been watching basketball for 45 years, and the playoffs has pretty much always been the same. Where, like tonight, the Knicks are playing, what's tonight, Wednesday? Then they miss one day off, and then you play again Friday. Then when you switch cities, you have 2 days off. You have a travel day, you have a day off, and then you play. It's always been that way. I'm not sure what the argument was with that, but it's saying that it shouldn't be that. It should be, I don't know if he said it should be 2 days in between games, but he certainly said it should be a travel day and then 2 days off before we play a game. And he's just saying that that's a huge issue. Do you guys think that that's something that professional players should be complaining about, or think that that's something that, it goes with the territory? What do we think of it? I think it's an interesting point. I'm curious to hear you guys' perspective on that one.
I find it funny because Aaron Gordon's not a rookie. He's not a sophomore. He's a vet in the league. He's been around for a little while.
Yeah.
Dog, this is not your first playoffs. Nowhere near. I understand the strain on your body. You're an NBA player running up and down the court 48 minutes, playing intense basketball in the playoffs. But it's been like that since Magic Johnson and them were playing. It's been like that probably before then.
Yeah.
So what? And all of a sudden now, your hamstring is messed up, and I know you're frustrated that you lost. Nobody likes to lose, but come on, bro. Come on. It's been the same way since basketball started. Why now you want to change? It doesn't make sense. You've been playing on the same thing. It's the same way in the season. You play 82 games that way and then play the playoffs. So I don't understand why he's complaining now about it.
Aaron, you have any thoughts on that one? I also feel like it's just not just a basketball thing. It's kind of just you kind of gotta hurry this up. If you can't do
that's a good point.
Play a game, and if what you're saying, take 3 or 2 days off every single time. I mean, we'll be watching the finals 4th of July,
right.
Maybe. We gotta give these summer sports some courtesy. We can't have basketball on all year long, and if anything, that really makes it worse for you if you do make the finals, because then you got to start right back up in October,
right?
And then you're finishing in July,
right?
So if anything, it's putting more stress on your body,
right?
But I feel like it's a point. I just don't genuinely agree with it,
right? That's a great way to put it, because like I said, it's their bodies that they're playing, so I feel a little out of pocket with saying that, but the issue to me is, again, that's part of professional sports. Any profession that you're in, there's a hazardous part of that profession that's difficult, that if you don't do it, other people don't necessarily understand that. So I do get that, but at the same time, I feel as though being a professional athlete, there are certain things that you have to do to make sure that you're okay. You know what I mean? You hate to bring these people up, but you have people, again, that are Ironmen. Jordan was a guy who played a lot of minutes, and he was up and down the floor. But whatever he did, I don't know, he made sure that the guy was not going to lose a game because, I'm a little bit aghast because my leg is hurting. He didn't really allow that to happen. Kobe Bryant was that guy. He didn't really allow things like that to happen. Even to me, LeBron James, his regimen of what he does is why. The guy talks about, if the game is at freaking 8:00, I'm at the arena at noon, getting ready for the game. These are the things that I think that you just. And I'm not suggesting that Aaron. I don't know Aaron Gordon personally. Maybe he does that. I don't know. But I just think that those are the things that, unfortunately, that's your profession. That's just what you have to deal with. That's just what you have to do. And sometimes, I'm gonna say it how I see it. That us entertaining that is kind of just babying the athletes. Come on, man, this is what you do for a living. You kind of have to figure out how you can do it. Now, injury is an injury. He got hurt, you know what I mean? And it's unfortunate. And again, a hamstring injuries are very, very serious. So I just kind of wanted to touch a little bit on that. And let's get into the current series that we have. We got, OKC going against. I'm in heaven this year because my East Coast team, my favorite team, is of course the New York Knicks. I'm a diehard New York Knickerbocker guy, but I always have my West Coast team, and I have my favorite player. My favorite player in the league is Anthony Edwards. He is my favorite player. So my second team that I follow that I like is the Minnesota Timberwolves. So I got best of both worlds here. So let's talk a little bit about that series. And again, like I said, I've been shellacked and I've been, criticized and I've been, thrown underneath the bus for Minnesota. And you know what I mean? I got laughed at when I said that I thought Minnesota can go very, very far. People thought that was ridiculous, but my guys are in the Western Conference Finals. I'd like to make that very, very clear. And I think that they actually, I'm probably going to get laughed at again, but they have a shot to beat the Oklahoma City Thunder. So let's talk about that series. What are we thinking going into that series? What are your thoughts on Minnesota versus OKC Western Conference Finals?
I mean, your guys, that's as far as they're going to get in the past 2 years. I mean, they made the Western Conference last year. Congratulations for them. And they're going to get bounced out in the Western Conference again this year, which is, I'm not saying that it's bad, but, I mean, let's be honest. You'd hate to be a conference final warrior, You're just short of the finals. And I feel like that's what Minnesota is right now. I have no faith that they'll win, honestly. I feel like, Ant-Man is having a great playoff, obviously. Julius Randle, trust me, I've watched him. He's bound to wet the bed on a couple of games. It's okay this year. You can't laugh at that. We've watched him for, what, 3 to 5 years.
He played pretty good last night.
Okay, with what, 5 turnovers.
Okay.
He's bound to have a couple of games where he's going to wet the bed. Nas Reed played like trash.
Nas Reed
had a poor game last night. That's fair.
Anthony Edwards played mediocre too.
Yeah, Anthony Edwards did not have a good game last night. Right?
Well, he said he didn't put up enough shots, so
yeah.
You're gonna start letting him fly this game. So we'll see how that goes. But I honestly, I don't see Minnesota coming out with the win here. I see them putting up. I'm gonna say they won't put up a fight though. I see them putting up a fight, but I just don't see them winning the series at all.
7 games.
It's possible.
Okay. Isaiah?
I think the series max is 6 games going to either team.
You don't like to say 7 games.
No.
Okay.
No. I think it'll go to either team. I think if Anthony Edwards can play well, I think Minnesota's determining factor is Julius Randle. If Julius Randle can play well like he did in Game 1, maybe step it up just a little bit more than he did in Game 1, and Anthony Edwards is firing too, that's hard to stop. And I know OKC's got a better team. They got SGA, J-Dub, and Chet and all them and all that. But, call me a Glazer if you want, but Anthony Edwards, out of all 4 teams, is probably the most unstoppable player out of all 4. I know SGA, 30 points a game and everything, but
different type of player.
You can't stop Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards will kill you at everything. Shea got a weakness. I will let Shea shoot the ball from the 3-point line sometimes. And I'll never let Ant shoot from the 3-point line. I'll never let Ant shoot a mid-range. I'll never let Ant drop to the paint on me. It's so hard to guard him, which is they need a guy like that, with the team that they built, because Julius Randle definitely ain't that guy. And for them, they're a 6 seed. So for them to be this far, I hope they don't. If they lose the series, don't look at this season as a failure. But I do think.
T-Wolves?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
But I do think that they do need another fire piece. I think Julius Randle might have to be part of that trade piece.
If they lose, it's completely a failure on them, because they are definitely capable of doing this during the season. They just don't do it.
Oh, that I agree with.
If they lose here, yes, it is.
Conference finals. How is that a failed
season?
Well,
I agree with Aaron.
It doesn't matter if you're the 1 seed or the 8 seed. Eventually, you're in the conference finals.
Like I was saying, I'm not. Obviously, I think OKC is gonna win, but obviously, this team, you can't put anything past them. They're a potential finals team. I don't think so.
Who, Minnesota?
Yeah, but I don't think it's crazy to say that they are definitely not a finals potential team. They just don't show it during the regular season.
Yeah, no, I agree with that fully. I do, and I think that's a huge factor. And as a Minnesota Timberwolves fan, that's very irritating and frustrating to me. because contrary to what you guys are saying, and I would push back a little bit to say, I actually do think that, and this is an interesting group of 4 teams that are left, I think. I think, and then we'll get you guys rundown on this. Talent-wise, I got Indiana being the worst in terms of the talent that they have on the team. I think we all would certainly agree there. I think
you're going from worst to best.
I might jump all over the place.
Okay.
I'm definitely going to say Indiana is the worst. I think the most talented team. It's very tough, man.
No, it's not.
To me, it's very tough.
No, it's not.
Let me try it first. Because I'll talk it out loud. Like, I think that maybe because I use the Minnesota Timberwolves on 2K, so I'm very familiar with their team. But I think that the Timberwolves are quite a talented team. I really do. You got guys like Naz Reid. They're a pretty good team. Julius Randle is a pretty good player. And then OKC is one of those teams to me, like, you guys talk about them, but I'm like, when I watch them, I think they're a very well-coached team, and they run a hell of an offense. They're a really good team. We're going to get into it in 2 seconds. We've got to hurry up. They just gave SGA his award, and the whole team was there. So their camaraderie is so powerful to me, and I think that's what makes them good. But talent-wise, for me, I don't necessarily think that they got this explosive talent that's better than everybody else out there. The Knicks, the same thing. 1 through 5, I watch the Knicks more than all these teams, so I know what they got. 1 through 5, Jalen Brunson clearly is top 5 in the league. I think we would all agree with that. Josh Hart, Karl Anthony Towns, at his position, he's the top 3 or 4 guy in the league. I think we could all.
He's top 2.
Yeah, he's top 2 in the league at his position. As you said, Mikal Bridges is very talented. The only problem with him is consistency. But when he's on, he's a problem. OG Edwards is
OG Anunoby.
I'm sorry. OG Anunoby is possibly a 20-point scorer. So talent-wise, then you got Mitchell Robinson coming off the bench. The Knicks are right up there talent-wise. I can't discredit that. So honestly, I can't even answer that question. What do you got?
From worst to best?
Yeah.
Indiana, Minnesota, Knicks, OKC.
Indiana,
Minnesota, Knicks, OKC. Talent-wise, you said, right?
Yes.
Talent-wise, that's worst to best. Indiana, Minnesota, Knicks, OKC.
I guess the only reason why I have to put Minnesota over the Knicks is because they run deep.
Yes.
But out of starting 5, I guess your list is valid there. But the only reason
OKC is number 1 for you, talent-wise,
100%.
and 2 is
Knicks for me.
Yeah,
I said the Knicks.
But you were saying that you would possibly switch the Knicks and Minnesota?
If we go whole roster.
Yes, whole roster.
I think that Minnesota
I
is distinctively better only because they run much deeper.
I agree. I agree with that.
But based off starting 5, then the list checks out for
I
everything.
agree. So, to me, again, those 3 teams, like I said, Indiana, and ironically, don't sleep. Indiana, I'm not suggesting that they will, so just calm down. But Indiana is there. So they could sneak in there and actually win the title. But I think it's a distinct difference between those 3 teams' talent and Indiana. But they're all pretty close, which makes this a very interesting thing. I think,
I think you really need to sit and watch Game 1 and really figure out who the Indiana Pacers are. Because
tonight's game, you mean?
The Indiana Pacers have a 0% chance to win the finals.
If they beat the New York Knicks, is that impossible that they would beat the New York Knicks? You guys were saying that there was no way they can beat Cleveland. They handled Cleveland like Clever Lang handled Rocky Balboa in the first fight.
The Cleveland Cavaliers are frauds in the playoffs.
Oh, here we go.
They are a fraudulent playoff team. They do this every single year. They lost to us last year. They lose to Indiana this year. They are just such a fraudulent playoff team. They can get it done regular season, but once the playoff comes around, the whole entire freaking team, besides Donovan Mitchell, just disappears. They're just at home in a hotel in Cancun, wherever they are. Wherever they are, it's not on the basketball court. Besides Donovan Mitchell, The rest of the team, the team is a fraudulent playoff team.
I'll go as far as to say, as though they're the one seed and have one of the best records, in league history. I honestly still think that the Cleveland Cavaliers was an overrated team. They weren't that impressive.
We gotta play the tape back because no one was saying this when we were talking about going to the playoffs.
Of course not. They're the one seed, so you're always going to give them the benefit of the doubt.
I didn't. I said I thought they was not going to do well. I said that. And you guys attacked me. You know what I mean? That they, no. I knew
So
they
you
were.
predict you are not surprised that Indiana beat Cleveland?
I'm not surprised.
Stop it.
I'm not surprised. We can go back. This is well documented. I'm not surprised because again, Cleveland. When you go down the roster of Cleveland, for me, it was like, okay, you got Donovan Mitchell. Mm-hmm. Who else? Now I know you guys know that team better than I did, but those other guys on that team did not impress me, and I just know. I keep telling you guys, playoff basketball is different. And this is why I've been so curious to see the Oklahoma City because I'm watching that team very closely. And them guys that you always be talking about on that team, what's the kid, J-Dub?
On OKC?
Yes. I'm watching these guys. I'm like, so far so good. But these are the players for me that I'm like, let me look at this dude. I'm not saying they're garbage, but the playoffs is a different animal. And usually that's the difference. Guys like that, they kind of don't.
Listen, you go starting lineup for starting lineup with each
Go
team.
ahead. That's a good point.
With each team, Indiana's in dead last in every position.
I agree with you. There's no question. I said that.
Besides point guard.
I said that. They're out.
Yeah, but I think your only very absurd point is that you say every team is close. I think the drop off from Indiana to whoever you have third, whether that's Indiana or Minnesota, is pretty significant.
I agree.
In my opinion. On paper.
Of course. Yeah. But you have to give them credit to say that what is going on here. Because the way you guys talk about Indiana, frankly, they should not have beat Milwaukee.
No, they shouldn't have.
But they did. That's what I'm saying. We have to, at some point, you have to be like, well, what's going on? Let's give them some credit. These guys they shouldn't have beat Milwaukee. Milwaukee does have what some people say is MVP of the league. It's not, or potentially people talking about Giannis getting the MVP.
Yeah. Okay,
but no name.
So what do you want Giannis Antetokounmpo to do when he's outscoring the whole entire starting lineup by halftime? What do you want the guy to do?
His team.
And then you don't even have a healthy Damian Lillard in the playoffs. You don't have a healthy Damian Lillard.
Y'all know how he feels about Damian in the playoffs.
I'm not discrediting Indiana for beating the Bucks. They did their thing. They got him out of there.
That's what I'm saying.
But what I'm saying is, you see, like, if they were healthy, if the Bucks were healthy, they had all their assets, and they were ready. I don't see, not in this universe where the Pacers...
You said if Dame was healthy and ready to go, they'd have beat Indiana. All right, well, of course, I'm not going to say and dispute that. I'm just telling you that it's not easy to win playoff series. And that's why I like 7-game series. Usually, believe it or not, it's not a fluke.
Listen.
It's not a fluke. You have to get... And again, these boys went far last year, too. You can't keep ignoring that. I mean, I'm excited. And you guys are really getting me excited to see Game 1 tonight to show. I mean, I'm a Knicks fan. I got my Knicks. But, I'm telling you, these guys ain't nothing to be just like, oh, please, this is nothing. There's something that they're doing. There's something that they have that, particularly in the playoffs, they're not to be fooled with. You're not to just, you better not go into the game just thinking like, oh, please, no talent. There's something that they're doing that is causing teams trouble.
But this will be Indiana's first series playing against a fully healthy team.
Yes.
And a fully dialed-in team.
Yes. So we'll see.
I don't think
nobody's saying that we're going into the game thinking they don't have any talent. But what I'm trying to tell you is the talent is going to be stopped. Okay. Halliburton is going to be... If you don't want to say stop, fun. Because you could say contained. For sure. Contained.
Okay. We'll see.
And that, what's his name? Nemhard,
yeah.
That's locks. Mikhail got him. That's locks.
Miles Turner, locks. I don't know. We can't guard 3-point shooting bigs. KP and Embiid, Jokic, they'll be killing us, bro.
Well, the good news is, like I said, we'll be able to find this out in a few short minutes in regards to that. But let's get you guys. Let's finish up. We jump back to the Eastern Conference. We're so excited about this game. What is your prediction for this series? OKC, I guess OKC and Minnesota. Minnesota again took a beating last night, which I think they're going to rebound from that. I think they'll be ready. Certainly, game 2 will be much more competitive. But what are you seeing? What are you seeing?
We said the prediction.
Oh, we said the outcome of that?
We did.
Maybe I didn't say.
I said 7, you said 6.
I said, oh yeah, I did.
I don't know if you said anything.
You're right.
Yeah, I mean, of course, you know what? You're going to have to, I mean, I would have to say, because Oklahoma City is the best team in the league, I would have to say 7 games. And they, unfortunately, and for me, as far as I'm concerned, they do take it in 7. But if Minnesota can sneak in there and get some games, Minnesota can win it if it goes 6. They'd have to do that. But that's going to be also, I think, an explosive series. I think, as I would agree with Isaiah, Anthony Edwards is the most explosive player, certainly left in the playoffs. I think he has an opportunity. I really do think that he has an opportunity to be, as they keep talking about, the face of the league. I think he has an opportunity to be, frankly, the best player in the NBA, the most, just polarizing figure in the league. And these are the type of situations that build that. And I think each year he's kind of doing that, his attitude. And in that series, I think Julius Randle will be, as you guys said, I agree, key. He has been playing well this playoffs, but they need him to consistently play well. He had a very good first half last night, and I think from there, he just kind of went to sleep, or whatever they did to him.
Well, that's Julius Randle.
Right. So they're going to need him to be a little bit more consistent. But from that standpoint, I do look to Anthony Edwards as being a guy. That's what you do. You kind of do that. You kind of bring guys like that along to be like, yo, we need you. I recall him getting on Karl Anthony Towns many times, like, bro, if you play good, we win. In the press conference, telling him, like, look at your stats tonight. Bro, and it's funny because he's here now. He does some of the same things that Anthony Edwards was telling him the last 2 years. Like, bro, stop fouling. He yelled at him in the press conference. When this dude fouls people and he's sitting down, we ain't going to win. Stop fouling people. And so he kind of does that sometimes with us. But if he's aggressive and he's scoring, Karl Anthony Towns is a terror. Let's kind of finish up the last minutes that we have talking about today. Special. We've been going at it about who was going to win the MVP, and we finally got our answer today. Shout out and congratulations. Shea was able to pull out the MVP award. It gets you guys thoughts on his season and whether or not you agree. I think Aaron throughout the year was really pushing for Jokic to win it, which obviously again he deserves. There's really no wrong answer here. Aaron was right on point because Jokic's numbers are just astounding, quite frankly. And even the effort that he put forward throughout this playoffs was just unbelievable. But I was kind of hoping that Shea got it. I thought he should have got it last year, to tell you the truth. But just talk a little bit about what you guys think about him getting it this year.
I think it's undeserved. I don't think he should have won, in my opinion. Jokic is having a historical, not even a good season. This was a historical season. I'm talking about a season that maybe 5 or maybe less guys have ever pulled off in the history of the NBA. And he doesn't win MVP. I see, because now this is just what. Now I'm curious to see if Denver would have won that series.
That's true.
Would Nikola Jokic have won the MVP?
That's true.
Either way, in my eyes, I felt like Jokic was a clear-cut winner for me. But obviously, Shea had a great season as well. Congratulations to him. But I just feel like, when you're having a season history has barely ever seen, it's kind of undeniable who the most valuable player is. Because you have to look at it as like, where in the hell would the Denver Nuggets be without Jokic?
Yes, I mean, great point. And I'm curious to know, was that a factor? We was going back and forth with that. Are they waiting for the win of the series? You guys think that's what happened?
I think so. It was just set up so perfectly. Like, MVP is set. The two main MVP talks in the same series, going Game 7 head to head. I mean, I think it was undeniably on that playoffs series. But it is what it is.
I mean, it's not. Again, it's not terrible that the kid won it. Again, great. Those are good points by Aaron. I tell you what. Jokic just had a really good season, but I would ask you too, if you made the point that what happens if Jokic is not on the Denver Nuggets, but what happens if Shea is not on the Oklahoma City? I think they're a totally different team. You think they'll still be a play-in? Play-in.
I can see them as a
play-in team. I think Denver.
I don't see Denver doing
like one of the worst teams in the league.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Your thoughts on Shea winning the MVP?
I honestly think it was a toss-up. You really could have coin flipped it to see who would have got it. I won't say he's undeserving of it, but I do think that Jokic should have won the MVP because, like Aaron said, I mean, the historical season for this big monster dude. You won't really ever see another player like Nikola Jokic. I mean, what he can do on the floor is genuinely just mind-boggling and impressive to me. And he had a phenomenal season. He had a good playoff run.
He did.
Given the circumstances, they got. I'm sure they have so much going on in the back, but it is what it is. SGA got it. Congratulations to him. I won't say it's undeserving because he also did have a phenomenal season.
Yes,
but. Congratulations to both guys. I wonder to see who. There's probably going to be between those two next year too.
Yes.
Nah, yes. I lied. I'm calling it right now. It's going to be between Jokic and Anthony Edwards. I'm glazing.
Yeah. I mean, look. I agree. You can't deny that all three guys that you just mentioned are spectacular and great players. I think Aaron's a little bit hard to say that the guy just didn't deserve it. I think he's deserving of it. Again, like he is right in saying that Jokic's numbers are just, Aaron has been very, very vocal about stating what those numbers were, and even I'm astounded at how good, Jokic's numbers are. And I do think that, listen, they went extremely far in the playoffs. They probably should, in my opinion, I didn't think they would win any series, and they were very competitive throughout the playoffs this year. So Jokic had a heck of a season, but I felt like Shea deserved it last year as well. That for that team, Oklahoma City, to take the turn that they've taken, to me being a young team and doing the things that they're doing, I'm very excited for them and very proud of that. You like to see that, go on. So we're getting ready to have the tip off for the game, jump ball, and we're very, very excited about it. And you know what? We're going to see you guys very, very shortly. We're going to take a short couple of days break, and we'll be right back here on
Alright, this is how we start
on the On Second Thought sports show on the Mental Conditioning Sports Podcast. Isaiah,
like and subscribe.